Hello folks, gonna dive right in. On Sunday, yet another unarmed black man was murdered by a police officer in Minnesota, just 10 miles away from where George Floyd took his last breaths. His name is Daunte Wright. Like clockwork, the same old questions started circulating. What did he do? Did he comply? Why did he resist? What you're really asking, you piece of shit, is did he deserve it? Because clearly some people out here think that 1, the police have the right to kill with reckless abandon, and 2, there are scenarios that exist in which black people encountering police officers don't deserve to live. Some of those egregious scenarios include a routine traffic stop, selling CDs, using a counterfeit $20 bill, selling cigarettes, and living in your home. Oddly enough, these violent criminals were taken in unharmed, and we all know why. The all they had to do was comply crowd always rings loudest in my ear when these murders happen because it's so unbelievably dismissive. For black people, complying does not equate to survival. We can't even ask questions about why we're being pulled over without being brutalized. Not to mention, basic fight or flight principles are at play in these life or death situations. I'm no doctor, but I'm thinking that when you can't breathe, your body actively tries to do everything it can do to breathe. So when you see police officers kneeling on someone or putting them in a chokehold and they're screaming, comply, and the person kind of won't, it might be because they can't, because their bodies are trying not to fucking die. And this may be controversial, it ain't, but running away from the police doesn't warrant a bullet either. You run from things you're afraid of, but the police are the only ones that have the luxury of fear. Furthermore, let's paint a picture. As I'm being choked to death by this person who was not born blue and who chose to work for a notoriously racist institution that has a history of killing people that look like me, you're telling me that I'm supposed to trust that at some point they'll have the wherewithal to stop choking me when some of them don't even know the difference between a taser and a gun? The whole point of this video is history. I know, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Policing has been a thing in the United States since colonial America. They started out in the form of night watches where volunteers worked part-time making sure people were acting right. The problem was that some people on a night watch like to sleep and get drunk while on duty. And also, some people were put on the night watch as a form of punishment, LOL, so they weren't really invested. As the nation grew and the urbanization of cities started, the night watch didn't work anymore. There were simply too many people. The first publicly funded police force started in Boston in 1838. New York followed in 1845, and by the 1880s, most major cities had a police force. In the North, there was a lot of immigration happening, and the culture of the U.S. was changing. And like always, there were people that felt, well, America isn't the same anymore. We got to keep this place safe and under control because these new people are awful. So the police were put in place to keep law and order and the status quo. In the South, it was a whole other ballgame. It was all about slavery, enter slave patrols. I'm sure we've heard that term by now. The first formal slave patrol was established in the Carolina colonies in 1704, and they would ride around on horseback with whips, guns, and ropes capturing enslaved people that ran away, enforced curfews, and prevented any organized resistance. After the Civil War and police forces were formed, local Southern authorities operated comparably to those slave patrols and actively terrorized black citizens. Slave patrols even had direct parallels to the KKK and how they operated. Scandal, 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 political corruption, bribery, prohibition, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward to the Civil Rights Movement, where you have people like Eugene Bull Connor out of Birmingham, Alabama, who was a boil of a human being and racist AF. This thumb was Commissioner of Public Safety for the city and had administrative oversight of the Birmingham Police Department, all while terrorizing black people. Remember that horrible footage of dogs attacking people and those water hoses being let loose on protesters in Alabama in 1963? Yep, that's the guy responsible. And you know what they say? History repeats itself, so it may not be guns and water hoses, but it sure is riot gear and tear gas. I know there's a lot of shit I didn't talk about. We'd be here all damn day. But to wrap it up, when black people say we don't trust the police, abolish the police, hold the police accountable, defund the police, fuck the police, it is because it is a system that was not designed to protect us. In fact, it is a system that has historically harmed us and is a current active threat to the black community. I don't know what else to say.